Hello and welcome. You're watching Eye on Africa and I'm Clarisse Fortuné. Our top stories. Eugène Rwamucyo gets a 27-year jail sentence. The former Rwandan doctor was found guilty of complicity in a 1994 genocide. We'll get the reactions from Kigali. Diamond-rich Botswana voted in general elections this Wednesday, with the ruling party vying to extend its 58 years in power and hand President Mokgweetsi Masisi a second term. The rumble in the jungle, the face-off that made history. On October 30th, 50 years ago, Muhammad Ali was fighting George Foreman in a heavyweight boxing match in Kinshasa, the greatest sporting event of the 20th century. 27 years imprisonment. That's the verdict issued by a French court in the trial of Eugène Rwamucyo. The former doctor was found guilty of complicity in genocide, complicity in crimes against humanity, and conspiring to prepare those crimes during the 1994 Rwanda genocide. Clément Diroma has been following the story from Kigali. Good evening, Clément. Thank you very much for joining us. So people in Rwanda have been expecting this verdict for a long time.
Good evening, Clarisse. Well, yes, people in Rwanda, survivors associations, and even the Rwandan authorities have been expecting this verdict for quite a while. Eugène Rwamucyo, as you just said, has been convicted by a Paris court to 27 years in prison for his role in the genocide against the Tutsis in 1994. He used to be a professor and a doctor in the south of Rwanda during the genocide, and then just after the genocide he fled to Europe. He lived both in Belgium and in France. In France he even worked in a French hospital for quite a bit, and in 2009 he was actually convicted here in Rwanda by a local court, by local Rwandan judges, to prison for life, but he never came back here in Rwanda for that sentence. He was a trial in absentia, and so people here were expecting the same kind of verdict from the French authorities. So the French judges have convicted Rwamucyo in part for his complicity in the genocide. His acts as a very important figure in the south of Rwanda. We know that he created at least 10 mass graves where bodies of victims, Tutsis that were killed by extremists, were buried at the time here in the south of Rwanda. These mass graves, there's still proof of them on the field today. And he also participated in hate speech against Tutsi communities at the time, hate speech alongside some very important government official extremists in 1994. Rwamucyo is now becoming the 8th Rwandan national to be convicted in France for genocide or complicity of genocide as well. And survivors associations are saying that there's still around 100 Rwandan nationals that are living in France right now freely and that are suspected of participating in the genocide against the Tutsis. They're saying that there's at least 100 people that are now in France not being trial, not being convicted, but there's also many more in the whole of Europe.
Clément Diroma, thank you very much. Clément Diroma, our correspondent covering the story from Kigali. In other news, suspected cult members attacked a village in Uganda, killing at least 8 people. The assault occurred on Tuesday night in Mizizi A, a hamlet in Kigali district. 8 others were injured. Security forces say they were chasing the culprits as investigations are ongoing to establish more details about the cult. 4 of those killed were aged under 13, including a 3-year-old child. 2 of the suspected attackers have been killed. Chad is urging the international community to step up support for counter-terrorism efforts in the Sahel. Last Sunday, Boko Haram jihadists killed around 40 Chadian troops in a surprise attack in a military garrison in the Lake Chad region. Interim Prime Minister promised the terrorists will pay dearly.
Operation Haskanit
is not just about securing our peaceful populations, because the terrorist group's harmful actions jeopardize the stability of the region and all the countries sharing the Lake Chad basin. The aim is to hunt down, locate, and annihilate Boko Haram and its affiliates.
et de ses affidés.
The terrorists will pay dearly for this affront.
Le prix de cet affront.
Botswana went to the polls on Wednesday with 1 million registered voters concerned about high unemployment and an economic slump driven by declining diamond demand. The country prides itself on being Southern Africa's oldest democracy, but the ruling party vies to extend its nearly 6 decades in power and head President Mokwetsi Masisi a second term. Laurent Bestecher has more.
Sitting in the shade, voters patiently waited for their turn before casting their ballots. Botswanans were headed to the polls on Wednesday to choose their next president and parliament, a vote that unfolded in a calm atmosphere despite several setbacks.
It was a lovely experience, but there was a lot of delays. You know, we spent hours, and now it's so hot. You know, I'm exhausted.
Yes.
I think in the coming elections, we need a faster process.
Voters were asked to choose one of 4 candidates, including outgoing President Mokwetsi Masisi, who's seen as the favorite to secure a second term. He faces a fragmented opposition, crippled by internal divisions. The Umbrella for Democratic Change coalition largely crumbled earlier this year after 2 parties decided to split away and nominate their own candidates. But its leader, 54-year-old Duma Boko, appeared confident of challenging the ruling party's near 60-year grip on power and make it lose its majority in parliament.
The Umbrella for Democratic Change has canvassed enough, and we are confident that we've garnered more than enough support to win.
Whoever wins the election will have to tackle major economic challenges, including rampant unemployment. Known for its vast diamond reserves, Botswana consistently ranks among the most unequal countries in the world.
She's a beauty queen without a crown in South Africa, and soon without a South African nationality. Chidima Adetshina is to be stripped of her ID documents. She had been under investigation after she became a finalist in the Miss South Africa pageant. But people question her eligibility to compete because her mother has Mozambican roots and her father is Nigerian. She withdrew from the competition after her mother was accused of identity theft to become a South African national. Now, the Department of Home Affairs said Adetshina and her mother have both failed to provide reasons why they should be eligible to keep them. With the US elections around the corner, African Americans living in Ghana remain divided over the presidential race. The country is home to thousands of US dual nationals, many of whom moved there as part of the 2019 year of return scheme.
Glued to his television, Jimmy Thorne watches the latest speech of Kamala Harris. Clad in a Stars and Stripes shirt, the 70-year-old American Ghanaian has been following the U.S. election closely and says he didn't hesitate before casting his ballot.
If Kamala Harris loses, America is going to change, and it's going to change drastically. I have no qualms about voting for Kamala Harris because of my fear of what Donald Trump might do if he's elected as president.
When Ghana launched its Year of Return program in 2019, Thorne was among those who jumped at the opportunity. The scheme, which commemorated 400 years since the start of the slave trade, invited African Americans to visit Ghana and encouraged them to permanently relocate to the West African country. Like Thorne, hundreds opted for the move and now hold a dual nationality, yet many are still unsure who to support in the upcoming U.S. election.
Both of them wouldn't do anything for blacks in America. Neither one of them. These are the opposite side of the same coin.
While many dual nationals continue to keep an eye on U.S. politics, others are more interested in developments closer to home as Ghana prepares to hold its own presidential election in December.
October 30th, 1974 is a legendary date in Congolese history. On that day, Muhammad Ali faced off against George Foreman in a World Heavyweight Championship boxing match in Kinshasa. Billed as the Rumble in a Jungle, it was the first fight of such global scale hosted on the African continent. 50 years on, young boxers continue to draw inspiration from the event. Let's see this report by Emmett Livingston, Aurélie Bazara-Kipangula.
For Pierre Célestin Kabala, this cardboard box is precious.
This is all the personal archive I've been able to keep.
Inside are archives from the fight of the century. 50 years ago, Muhammad Ali fought George Foreman in Kinshasa's Tata Raphael Stadium. The sports journalist was 27 years old at the time.
Here I am, just outside the ring.
As a member of the organizing committee, Pierre Célestin Kabala remembers the last round of the fight down to the last detail.
In that round, Ali multiplied his jabs and hooks and knocked him down. The whole stadium was chanting, Ali Boumaye.
That chant, which means Ali, kill him, has become legendary and is still heard in Kinshasa. At the entrance to the stadium where the fight took place, there's a boxing club called the Head High, which has around 100 members. Its founder says that it was Ali's victory that made boxing a popular sport in DR Congo.
Before the fight, there were just 3 clubs. But after that, many more were born. And now there are more than 300 clubs in Kinshasa. It's always the inspiration of Muhammad Ali.
Young people come here to train every day from 6 o'clock in the morning. Even if they weren't born in 1974, they've all seen the fight and been inspired by it.
I like Muhammad Ali. I like his style of fighting when it's slow. I really like when he boxes, when he parries. I really like when he moves. I like his style.
Here in front of the stadium, everyone is training in the hopes of becoming the next Muhammad Ali of DR Congo.
And this fight continues to inspire many champions. And this concludes our edition of Eye on Africa. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more news.
Émission spéciale à Tanger. Tanger, une ville haute en couleurs, à l'image des créations de la styliste Kenza Benani qui va nous accueillir dans son atelier. Nous irons également à la découverte du festival Art Explora, à la rencontre de la première rappeuse du pays, Widad Mjama. Le Paris des Arts, émission spéciale à Tanger, à retrouver très vite sur France 24.
Paris des Arts, presented by Valérie Fayol on France 24.